Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack, and welcome back to the PlatFam Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Katelyn Bashford in Wichita Falls, Texas. Katelyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So this is a special edition of the PlatFam Marketing Show. We lost AC in the podcast studio. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I actually have a 10-pound bag of ice here that's just sitting on my lap. I can't tell if it's in the camera feed or not, so maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But it's literally in my lap just to keep me cool because it is very hot here in South Florida where I'm recording. The heat index is well into the hundreds today, and there's just no AC here. But we're going to do this podcast episode, rain or shine, 100 degrees or not. Katelyn, again, welcome to the show. You have some pretty cool things to brag about. So we were just talking that prior to joining the PlatFam Marketing Program, you were kind of around, let's say, 5 million, right? I think your best year ever was 6. The first year you joined PlatFam, you ended up doing 4 million. This year, you're on pace to do somewhere between, let's say, 15 and 20 million. It just depends where things are going to shake out. We're recording this about halfway through the year. You're already at 12 million. So technically, you're on pace to hit your goal of 12 million. But for sure, without a doubt, you're going to finish somewhere between 15 and 20 million, which means your business has at a minimum tripled and potentially quadrupled from where you were at before the PlatFam strategy. So my first question is, how did you get into real estate? Like, what were you doing before real estate, and how long have you been in real estate?
So I am a NICU nurse, and a forensic nurse, and I joined real estate like right as COVID was starting.
Great timing.
2020 is when I got my license, and I started really in 2021. That was my first year. My aunt has been a realtor for 20 years. So I was like, well, I want to try this out. I've just loved everything about it.
You're like, what other careers could possibly be as stressful as being a NICU nurse? Oh, I know, going into real estate.
Yeah,
that's
it's
better.
actually way more stressful.
That's hilarious. So you basically kind of started transitioning because you're still a nurse, right?
Yes, I'm only PRN now, which is like very part-time as a NICU nurse. And then I work about 8 days of call as a forensic nurse a month.
Okay, so you're still taking some shifts, still doing a little bit of work, but you're obviously not full-time. So you left the world of healthcare and all that during this COVID craziness. And you're like, what is the other industry I could go in that's equally as nuts right now? Real estate. So you said you had some family members in real estate. What did that look like, having kind of your trial by fire be right during the craziness of 2020, 2021 in real estate? Like, how did you get business early on? How did you build things? What did that look like, having those years be your first couple of years in real estate?
Well, luckily in the NICU, those babies aren't really exposed as much to COVID at the time. So it wasn't as crazy in our world as everybody else's, but most of my customers that I started out were nurses, healthcare providers. So I really targeted any kind of hero like nurses, teachers, anything like that. And I've lived here all my life. So most of my business just came from knowing people here.
Sure. Okay. So it's kind of just working your friends and family, your sphere. I think most agents who do that say, yeah, that works for a couple of years. And then eventually you run out of friends and family and sphere that are in the market to buy a house. Is that kind of what led you to the PlatFam strategy? Like, you realized you needed to start doing some marketing, or what was it? Did you see one of our Facebook ads that you saw someone doing it? How did you first hear about the PlatFam strategy?
So when I first started out, I was doing strictly Homes for Heroes on all my people. Well, that was a 50% referral that I was giving every commission check. It was a lot.
Yep.
And people would just think, oh, it's Homes for Heroes that's giving me this money. I'm like, yeah,
no, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming out of your commission check. Yep.
And I love doing things for people, and I still do, but I just hated giving so much money up and nobody knowing actually it was.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's no other industry that regularly gives away part of its compensation like real estate agents do. And it's almost like people feel entitled to it, right?
Yes.
If you went to the doctor, right, because you worked in healthcare, if you go to the doctor and you get a bill because you had to spend a couple days in the ER or the hospital or whatever, something happens to you and it's like, hey, the bill is $20,000. It's not like, oh, I'm a teacher, give me half off. Or I'm a first responder, give me half off. No one would think to do that for someone in the military. These are all noble professions, right? So I'm not saying these people don't deserve some sort of special treatment in society. They absolutely do. But it's interesting that realtors are often the ones where they're expected to give a huge chunk of their commission. If someone in the military goes and buys a car, the car dealership isn't like, hey, we need to give you your car for half off because you were in the army or whatever, right? But realtors often, it's almost expected. Like some people feel, I don't want to say entitled, that is probably too strong of a word. But like you said, the public has this narrative in their mind, which is totally false, that realtors are making so much money and there's so much margin that like, oh, of course, if I ask for 25% of the commission discounted or half off in the instance of Homes for Heroes, agents are making so much money, they have plenty to give away. Well, not after broker splits and fees and taxes. There's just no other industry out there that people would ever expect to just basically give away their services the way that people expect realtors to sometimes do. And so is it cool what Homes for Heroes does? Yeah. I'm not going to go on the record and argue against giving veterans a deal buying a house, right? But it's interesting that realtors are the ones who are expected to foot that bill, and no other industry is there the expectation that, oh, if someone is a first responder, they should always have their meals half off at a restaurant. Or if someone is a teacher and they want a gym membership, their gym membership should be half off. And the poor owner of the gym should just understand that all the teachers who go there are going to get 50%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't put that expectation on any other type of small business owner, and yet realtors are often doing that. So kudos to you. But I mean, obviously, as you're saying, it's not really a sustainable way to build a business if you're having to give away that much margin every time you have a closing.
Yeah. So when I decided to leave that, I knew I was going to have to leave the brokerage completely because they all did Homes for Heroes. So I had talked to the lender down in San Antonio, but she works with Heather Moots. And she was like, hey, you have got to look at Heather's stuff. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So then I followed her.
What is Heather's new name? You probably know
Heather, Heezer.
Heezer. Is it pronounced Heezer? Heather, if you're listening, we apologize. We're trying to sound this out live. No one has told me yet. I've seen it spelled. It looks like it's Hooser or Hooser, but I've seen people say Heezer. I'm very confused. Someone please help. Okay, Katelyn, go on.
Yes. So I followed her probably for close to a year before I decided I'm doing it. I'm going to lose this market if I don't do it. And I knew going into signing up for PlatFam that it was going to work. And it might not work immediately, but I was sticking with it because I saw all of her success. So I left the brokerage and joined PlatFam in January of 2024. So this is my third year with PlatFam.
So you haven't done 3 full years, like you're in your third year, right?
I'm
now.
in my third, yeah. In
and
my third
when
year.
You joined the PlatFam program, you started the PlatFam strategy. It's important to note, because I have no idea when someone is going to be listening to this podcast episode, right? We're recording this halfway through 2026, but I don't know, someone might find this episode and listen to it halfway through 2027 or 2028. And I just want to kind of put a timestamp on this and remind people that if you started this strategy in like 2024, that was just in the doldrums, the bottom of the real estate. Things were super slow. Interest rates were closer to 8 than they were 7. It was not a good time to be building out a new brand in real estate or investing in a new marketing strategy. The market was really, really slow. I think it's getting microscopically a little bit better every year because more and more people are just kind of realizing that interest rates are what they are at this point. But it was really, really slow then. So you launched this whole new initiative, this new marketing plan in 2024, again, which is not a great year in real estate. What was that first year like? Did you feel like you were crazy sometimes? Like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? You're married. I met you and your husband at the beach last year. I remember at the Mastermind, a story that will live in infamy because I went up and shook your husband's hand or said hi. And okay, in my defense, and I didn't shake your hand right away. And
no, you dodged me out of the way.
Yeah. Okay. I dodged you. Okay. It's because he was in one of your photos recently and I recognized him and I was like, hey, that's Katelyn Bashford's husband. I was like trying to embarrass him because he's kind of unassuming, quiet in the background. And I just went right past you and you were like, what? So was he weirded out that you're like, hey, I'm going to leave? Because I'm assuming the nursing healthcare job you had was a relatively good paying, high paying job, right? It certainly at least had a steady paycheck at the minimum, right? You were bringing in money for your family and then you're like, hey, I'm going to go do this thing that's commission only, no guarantee I'll get any paychecks at all. Was he kind of like, hold on, maybe we shouldn't jump into this? And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to join this expensive marketing program called PlatFam that's going to suck even more money out of our family's finances. Was he nervous? Were you nervous? Or were you both like, hey, we're going all in? What was the vibe?
I think we were both nervous, but especially him. But I'm kind of one of those like, no risk, no reward. Just go for it. If he fell, oh well, we'll just rebuild, get back up. But I feel like you've got to do bold things to get bold results.
Okay, so you were both probably a little scared, but you were like, hey, no, we're going to do this. I want to really build something big in my career here. If you don't mind me asking, what were you making at that previous job as a NICU nurse?
I think so I was making close to $50 an hour, but once you took out insurance and all that stuff, maybe like 75, 80,000. I mean,
Okay,
nowhere
so
near what I am now.
yeah, the so if you were making $50 an hour, like that actually translates to 100 grand a year, gross, right? Not net, obviously taxes and there's tons of stuff. But so you left a job that was grossing you technically six figures a year. So that was a risk to you, right? It's not like, hey, I was working at a gas station for $12 an hour, so I decided to give this platform marketing thing a shot where it's like anything can be better than this, right? It's like, no, you had a really, really good career and you went into real estate where there's no guarantees, no weekly paychecks, you're living closing to closing. So kudos to you. Most people do not have the courage to do that. So I mean, that's the first thing I want to say is that is a hard thing to do, especially when you're like into your career. I know you guys have kids. It's sometimes a lot easier to make big risks like that, take big risks, big swings when you're 21 years old. But like you guys had family, kids, and you were willing to take that risk because you're like, hey, I think I want a little bit more out
Mhm.
of life, and it's paying off for you
Yeah.
because this year you're on pace to potentially do 20 million, and by my math that means that GCI is going to be somewhere around $500,000 or more by the end of the year, which is,
Life changing.
yeah, it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And I get to be at all of my kids' stuff, which is the coolest thing.
Okay, so
I get to pick 'em up and
what like activities are they in? Like what are you able to attend now that you weren't always able to attend before?
so volleyball tournaments, they are usually like every other weekend. Well, as a nurse, you're gonna work every other weekend, pretty much no matter what, unless
Yeah,
you're in a nursing home. Um, so I get to be there for every single one of them. I get to pick them up and drop them off at school every single day. You just you
that's
can't
cool.
put a dollar sign on that.
Yeah. Yep. Especially because you're only in that phase of life for approximately 20 years, right? Where your kids are, little at home. It obviously depends how many kids you have. Some people might be a little bit longer if they have like five kids or whatever, but like, you know, 20 years generally, right?
Yeah,
And you're not going to get that back when they leave. So it's like structure your life in such a way that you can get to do more of those things while they are that age, because it seems long obviously while you're going through it, but it does not last. It does not last forever. I actually just read a study, so this is top of mind for me, in a book like last week, that said they pulled a bunch of people that were in their 80s, kind of getting towards the end of life, and they said what like season of life or what era do you look back on the most with like the most fond memories? Like if you could go back and live through one decade of your life again, what would it be? And I can't remember the exact statistic, but like the vast, vast, vast majority of people picked the decade where their kids were like kids, like where their kids were like, young elementary school getting into junior high, whatever. And it's interesting because like the author of the book is like, that is objectively the most stressful decade of your life, right?
hmm
um like nothing can compare to that, is when your kids are younger. That's the most stress you'll ever experience. But obviously the flip side of stress is that's the most meaning, right? Like you just feel like you're doing something important when you're in those when you're in those years, and you have way more free time when you're an empty nester. Your house is probably cleaner. You can take more vacations or go on random hey, we're brunching on Saturday morning, right? Like all these things that you can't do when you have kids. And yet people just overwhelmingly chose, hey, if I could live one decade over again when they're older, it's like I'd go back to having kids. So that's just kudos to you. Like you took a risk, to make more money, but also have the freedom to spend more time, going to your kids' games with your family rather than being locked to a typical schedule, as being a
yeah.
nurse. So I'm proud of you that paid off for you, because this by far, having these conversations on the platform podcast with the bag of ice
So is
on
your
my
whole
lap
app
here.
wet?
Yeah, it is, but it's worth it because the rest of my body is very hot right now. um this is like my favorite part of the job. Everything else is, it's work, right? It's like
Mhm.
launching ads, editing videos, writing scripts for stuff, like doing calls with like platform marketing is work just like any other job is, right? But the really, really fun part for me is getting to have these conversations with people like you, where it's like I get kind of a behind the scenes look at like, what was your life like before? What is it like now? You took the risk and got there. Because like it's rare. It's
Mhm.
rare what you did. And sometimes I need to remind people that there's so many people in the PlatFam, right? Like we have this Facebook group, we meet up together at the masterminds, whatever, and you kind of start taking it for granted a little bit, how normal it is inside of the platform for people to do what you did, but that is absolutely not normal to the rest of society, right?
Right.
Most of the people on the outside looking in would think you are absolutely certifiably nuts for doing, like, you walked away from a job that was paying you 100K a year and went into a commission only, industry, and then you started spending a bunch of money on marketing, like with the platform. Like, people would think you're absolutely nuts for doing that.
Yeah,
And
they
I just
still
want
do.
to give yeah, well, I mean, I just want to give you a shout out because like it's kind of normalized in the PlatFam group, that because there's so many people that have like a story like that, but like it's not normal at all. Like what you did is not normal, and it took a ton of courage to do that. So shout out to you. I mean, that is just super cool that it paid off for you. Like I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. And most of that success, I mean, I'm a good agent, but I would say platform contributed to most of that success for sure.
Well, platform works if you do, and you have absolutely put in the work. Like I know you're one of the clients who, when we ask you to film a video or do a new ad, like you do it, right? You don't argue with us or argue with your account manager on, oh no, I don't want to do this. And it's like you just do the ads and you get the results, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, speaking of ads, like what are some of your favorite ads that you've done over the years? I'm not even saying necessarily the ones that maybe got the most engagement or clicks or leads, whatever, but what have been your like personal favorite ads you've done, whether they were videos or photo ads?
Okay. So I know this is recent, but one of my favorite ads was the one that for the 250th birthday,
Okay. Yep.
just recently for the 4th of July stuff.
Yep.
That was probably one of my favorite because I get really emotional too. I know you talked about your dad gets emotional when he hears the national anthem and stuff like that. But I get emotional when I talk about that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
I loved doing that ad for sure.
And for those listening that have no idea what we're talking about, we did an ad for a lot of our platform clients this year, for the 4th of July, Independence Day, right? Like the year we're recording this, it's America's 250th anniversary, right? So Independence Day is cool every year. This year, it's like super cool because it's the 250th birthday, right? So we wrote an ad script that basically just asked, realtors like Katelyn, like, hey, go around town and just film as many American flags as you can, like whether it's at a small business or a car dealership or people's houses or like schools or whatever. Just film all the American flags waving around town that you can find. And then we had you record a voiceover, basically telling like the real true story of the Battle of Fort McHenry, which is a real thing that happened in American history that inspired the Star Spangled Banner, which the Star Spangled Banner was actually a poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry that was written by Francis Scott Key. And I'm not going to give it all away here because that would turn this podcast episode into like a way longer episode than we have time for. But it's an actual night that happened in American history, several hundred years ago when the British were bombing Fort McHenry. So this guy wrote a poem about it. Later on, that poem was turned into a song, but it was actually a poem about an actual night that happened in American history. And I don't want to spoil it. You can go look it up, but it is like one of the most badass stories ever about really what it means to be an American. I think the last thing I'll say on this, and because I love this ad too, is that once you know the history of the Star Spangled Banner and the history of our national anthem, you realize that it was actually not in the War for Independence. So it was not around 1776. It was actually during the War of 1812. It was the second time that the British attacked us. So the Star Spangled Banner is actually not a song about what Americans will do to fight for freedom. It's a song about what Americans will do to keep our freedom. So Go look it up. Find any of our platform realtors. Watch that video. It is one of my favorite all-time scripts we've ever done. Too, and you got to feature your community while doing it, right? Because it's full, like the actual video is full of like American flags waving like in your community. We didn't just use like stock footage of American flags, so it really is a local video, and you got to be the voiceover narrator of that video. So yes, I absolutely love that ad, and that's a great example of a platform ad.
Yeah, I loved it, and I actually did not know the story myself, so
No,
that
like
was
the vast,
awesome.
I bet like, I don't know, 97.5% of Americans don't know that story. You've
Mhm.
heard the national anthem 1,000 times at sports games or whatever, but like most people don't know the actual true story of what happened that night and why the lyrics of the song are what they are. So yeah, like that was a super cool ad.
Yeah, and it's still getting shared and comments on and all kinds of things on my page, so that's cool. I love the So God Made Us Small Business Owner. I
Yep.
did that one.
Yep.
And then I love doing listing videos. That's probably what I love most about being a realtor, honestly, is getting to have fun doing these listing videos. And if I wasn't with Platform, I wouldn't have that, you
Right.
know. I
Right.
mean, I could make a video, but most of these people spending all this money on videos, they get 100 views because they don't put ad spend behind it.
Yep. And
So,
the videos aren't even creative too. Like when I see what other realtors do who are not in platform, it's like, yeah, cool. You edited in some drone footage and you
mhm,
put cool music behind. Like the video looks slick or it looks professional, but there's no fun in it. I'm not saying every video has to be funny. It doesn't have to be like comedic or something. But platform agents typically have so much more fun in their videos than other agents do. And I don't think it's a coincidence that platform agents' business often grows a lot faster than the average agent because you just,
mhm.
you have fun with your
Yeah.
marketing.
And people relate to that. They want stuff that's not always so serious. So
What would
that's
be an
really what I'm
example of like one or two of your favorite listing videos you've done and kind of what made them fun?
I'm trying to think of what this character is called. He wears the Beetlejuice. I did that for
Okay, yeah.
Halloween last year, and that was so fun. I looked like a complete idiot, but I had so much fun with it, and it got tons of engagement. And then I did the elf too. I looked
And
crazy, but
the homeowners were okay with all this that you were showing off their house
yeah, I
dressed as
mean,
Beetlejuice.
they want me to do those, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
even nicer listings, they're like, "What kind of fun video are you going to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I was going
Yeah.
to do it a little fancier, but sure, whatever."
Sure. So you're just having fun with your listing videos. Now, uh tell me a little bit more about your market quick. So you're in Wichita Falls, Texas. What's like the median price point? What price point are you typically selling there? Like what does your market look like? What's the population there?
Okay, so Wichita Falls is about 100,000 people.
Okay, so
Um,
it's not like a tiny small town or something.
no, we are surrounded by several small towns, and I service all of those as well. Um, but our average price point is like around 195 to 200,000. It's not much.
Okay.
I got to
So
work
like
really hard.
yeah, I was to say to hit the volume that you're talking about then of like, hey, I'm tracking to hit 20 million this year in sales volume. You're having to sell a shit ton of houses if you're, the medium price point is 200,000 in the area. So this is not one of those markets where your average price point is 700,000. So it's like, "Oh yeah, I sold 12 houses last year and, made a bunch of money." It's like, "No, you're having to sell a lot a
Yes.
lot of houses." But I also want to kind of stop anyone who's listening to this and maybe you heard, "Oh, she's in Wichita Falls, Texas." And immediately in your mind, if you're not from Texas, you think, "Oh, I've never heard of that place. It must be some tiny town. I bet there's no competition there. It must be so easy to be a real." Because, like, I know these stereotypes people have. It's like, well, if you don't live in Texas, you don't realize how insanely big Texas is. Like, Texas is bigger than like basically every European country, um, and a town that you've never even heard of has well over 100,000 people in
Mm,
it, right? So this is not a small town where there's like, oh, I'm in a town of 4,000 people and that's why I'm crushing it because there's no competition here that even has a social media account or something. Like there's obviously a lot of competition uh, where you are, and yet you're still crushing it.
Yeah.
Were there other realtors there who noticed you come out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're like a top agent and they're asking you like, who is this lady? Where did she come from? All of a sudden we've never even heard of her, and within 2 years she's, on pace to sell 20 million. Like, has there been any reaction to that, or do they just mind their own business, or what has it been with like kind of the old guard of established realtors there?
Yeah, I've had tons of realtors like even just reach out to me and say, I love your marketing and ask me about it. And we have like about 400 ish agents. Now, of course, only the 10% of those do most of the business,
Right, right.
but I get comments constantly. And of course, there's a couple that try and make snide remarks, like that one, the sign where it said, uh, if you're not really selling your house, I can't remember what it said exactly.
Oh, was that the sign where we like photoshopped your sign to say not technically for
Yes.
sale? Yeah, yeah.
I got like 5 messages from realtors. Like, you can't do that. I'm like, I didn't. It's fake.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So again, for those listening that, have no idea what we're talking about here, that was one of our a platform ads we did a couple years ago where we have you take a picture of one of your signs and you kind of posing next to your sign, and our team photoshops the sign so that we change the letters on your for sale sign to say not technically for sale, but we try to keep it looking legit so it looks like a real sign. Like, they do a really professional job of photoshopping whatever, so it for the most part looks like an actual real sign from whatever brokerage you're with, whether it's Remax, Keller Williams, whatever. But it says not technically for sale, but make us an offer anyways, and for the right price, maybe we'll change our mind. And as Katelyn said, like you run this ad on Facebook of you with your new signs, and all these agents start, message you, hey, like that's illegal. You can't do that. That's a violation of the MLS board rules or whatever. And they just don't realize, like, guys, it's a joke. It's
yeah,
fake, right? But like that's the kind of fun stuff. Like, if you start having more fun in your career by doing things like that, your business is going to grow. That's the whole point of the platform marketing program. We're not just doing this to, have fun. Like, we are doing this to make money and grow our businesses. But by doing so, if you have more fun in your life and in your career, I think it actually ironically makes it more likely that you make more money,
yeah,
because you can't compete. And this is true of any business, not just real estate. This is true of any marketing agencies that are trying to compete with me, right? You can't compete with someone who's having fun in their business, because they never know when to stop working because they're having fun. You won't be able to outwork them if they're having fun, because when work stops feeling like work, you'll just be willing to put in more hours and do cooler things than someone who like secretly hates what they're doing, right? That
yeah,
is one of just the secrets I've discovered over the years. Like, have more fun, and honestly, you will just eventually make more money. I can't quite say how they're correlated or how the causation flows there, but if you have more fun, like, you're just eventually going to make more money
yeah. I
doing what
kind
you're
of
doing.
like that saying, like, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And I think it's true. Like, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of crap in real estate that we have to deal with, but when
Yeah,
you really
for
love
sure.
what you're doing, it makes it a whole lot better.
Yeah, again, like there's two ways of doing any career, right? But like real estate, it's like, yeah, you can do real estate, make some good money, but if you're doing it in such a way that you're not having fun, it's not going to be enjoyable for the rest of your 20, 30, 40-year career, however long you end up working. And B, I actually think you'll underperform people who are having fun. I think that's the point I'm making, right? Is that when you
Hmm.
find
Yep.
ways to have fun, like you said, with your listing videos and doing these silly kind of platform retargeting ads we do from time to time with like photoshopping the sign, like having fun is that kind of just like icing on the cake, where you'll just be willing to do things, potentially work different hours, put yourself in positions where you'll get luckier, basically, if you're having fun, compared to someone who just views this as like a grind and a job and I hate it, but it makes good money. That person in the long run will not beat you.
Right. And also giving purpose to your job, like with
Yeah.
all the businesses that we highlight and how we really focus on our communities. We're not just selling houses. We actually care about other
Right.
businesses in our community and other people in our community.
So speaking of that, obviously a big part of the platform strategy is highlighting local businesses, right? As I'm saying this, a leak has sprung in the ice bag, and I'm currently being drenched all on my lower body. So this is fun. This is the most exciting platform podcast episode I've ever recorded. So as you're highlighting these local businesses, like, is there one that really stands out in the last couple of years that is like, hey, that was a fun ad I got to do where I highlighted such and such local small business? Like, again, whether it's a photo or a video, is there anyone that just immediately stands out of like, I'm really stoked that I got to do that particular business in, in one of my Facebook ads?
There's a boutique that's local that I did one on them, and they like recognize me every single time I come in. Like, even if it's not like the owners, anybody in there always recognizes me, always say, "Hey, Katelyn, how are you?" Like, they're
Yeah.
followers for life after that. And same for like some different delis and stuff that I've highlighted. Same thing. Like,
Yeah.
they'll see me coming in the door and like, "Hey, I'll get you right over here," even though the line's
Yeah.
super long.
That's so cool.
I'm like, I don't need special treatment, but cool.
Yeah. So, I
So
mean,
things like
in a
that.
sense, it's kind of like the cumulative effect across town of like when you do enough of these like small business promos and highlights, you just start to gain that reputation, right? Of like, hey, she's really a champion of the community. She's an advocate of the community. And like, again, you have fun doing it. And it's not like you're doing it because you expect the small business owner to send you referrals or whatever. But
Hmm.
it almost always works out that way, right?
Yeah.
That if you highlight their business and you get to know them, eventually it's going to result in them sending you business in the long term. And if you can have fun doing that, like, man, I would not want to be a realtor in your market and have to compete with you because you can't compete with someone who's having fun at what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love it so much.
you've done the small business highlights, you've done a lot of listing video tours over the years. What would be the most like what is the most engaging ad you've ever done? Like, what ad have you done over the years that got the most clicks or the most video views or went the most viral where you are? Like, what do you think that is? And maybe it was a listing video. I mean, like, how many views are your listing videos getting? Do you know?
They're getting over 100,000 views each time. Um, so this
Really?
year I started
Okay.
putting $500 behind every listing video.
Okay.
So yeah, they're getting tons of views.
So
Uh,
your listing videos, I mean, again, you said like your town has about 100,000, people plus
mhm.
in it. Almost actually every single adult in your town is seeing these listing videos because typically in most towns, like half the population are children under the age of 18. So we're
Yeah,
obviously not showing the ads to kids. So if your ads are getting 100,000 views, that means like literally every single adult in your city is seeing your listing videos.
yeah,
So it's not surprising that your business has grown that much if you're getting that level of exposure and saturation in your
yes,
community.
for sure. Yeah, and I've had some of the just picture ads, like, I don't highlighting a burger place or anything like that.
Sure.
They'll get hundreds and hundreds of comments, and it's not even a good picture. It's just a picture of the sign when you walk in the door. But people want to interact with that. So,
Now, what was the first year that you attended the platform Mastermind?
Disney,
Okay, so the first year that was, I'm trying to think, was that 2024, right?
2024, and then I
Okay.
came to Naples last year as
Okay.
well.
Are you going to the Mastermind this year in Boise?
Yes. I
Cool.
don't
So
know.
you'll be 3 for 3.
I don't know why anybody in platform would miss it unless it was like extenuating circumstances. Like, get there. That's one of the most valuable things that platform offers, is that mastermind for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why we do it. It's why we spend so much money on it. Like if I didn't believe that, it'd be the easiest thing ever to cut out of our budget and save money because
It's
we
expensive for
spend we spend upwards of 150 to $200,000 each year putting on this mastermind, and it's totally unnecessary, right? Because we don't charge for it. It's not like it's not like we're like, hey, come, it's an extra $300, or it's like, no, it's literally free to come to if you're a realtor in the platform marketing program. But I think it's so valuable to, at a minimum, once a year to get people in person, hanging out, breaking bread together, grabbing morning coffee together, going on a walk, going out for drinks at night, whatever, like
Mhm.
hanging out with people in real life. I think that's something that I definitely learned during COVID, that maybe as a society, we had to learn that lesson all over again, that like, you have to hang out with people in real life, right? Like
Yes.
there is no substitute. I don't care how many Zoom calls you do. It is not the same thing as meeting someone and like hanging out somewhere in real life.
And it's the coolest people too. I mean, I was trying to write down because I've heard you ask like, who are the people that you like in the platform, or you follow or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Okay,
cannot
okay,
do
okay.
that.
Don't steal my thunder. Let me ask the question. Okay. Who are your favorite people in the PlatFam, Katelyn?
I cannot fairly do that because I would be reading off 100 names.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
literally love so many of those people. And I say love because I actually do love them.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yep.
cannot wait to see them in September. And I've already seen some of them a couple times this year in January in Naples. And
Yeah. And it is honestly, like in all seriousness, it is another competitive advantage in your business, that because you prioritized coming to, the platform mastermind events and other mastermind events. Like I saw that you were recently at a Lindsay Litton's retreat, and you've come to other stuff
yes.
that platform has put on, like in January when we all got together and we took that, yacht out around, Naples, and we just had fun with people in the like it was purely social, right?
Hmm.
But you get to know people. That becomes a competitive advantage in your business, having that network, because like the cumulative ambition level in the group, like you will set that as a standard for yourself, that I want to
Yes.
be as successful as other people. It's just basic human nature. It's positive peer pressure, right?
Hmm.
And the older we get, I think often people discount that, because when you hear the phrase peer pressure, you think, oh, that's a negative, right? That means like don't drink, smoke, or do drugs or whatever in high school, like peer pressure, right? But as an adult, it's just as valid in the positive sense of, you should surround yourself and put yourself in proximity, right, to people who are as ambitious or even more ambitious than you are, because you will want to rise up to the standard of the group around you. And most realtors are not getting that level of ambition from the agents in their like physical local brokerage where they are. And that's
Hmm.
true of whether you're in Texas, Mississippi, Nevada, Ohio, North Dakota, like wherever you are, right? I can almost promise you that whatever the agents are in your local brokerage or in your association, like you are not getting that level of a community from them. And I think for many people in the platform, that might even be more valuable to them than the marketing we do.
Yeah.
It's just like having access to that group and that community, because, we kind of talked about this a little bit before in the conversation, but if you're in a group where it's like normal to sell 16 million or 18 million or 23.5 million or whatever, if that's like normal, you're going to reorient your life so that that becomes your reality. Like you will be, hey, like this is normal around here. People are selling 20 million. I don't want to be the one agent who's stuck at 11 million when all the people around me are selling 20. And guess what? What usually happens is you find a way to sell 20 million, and you never would have felt that social pressure if you didn't join a group like Platform, where that's kind of like normal around here, right? So that in a sense is almost more important and more valuable than even all this marketing stuff we're talking about, of the video editing and the Facebook ads and all that. Because at the end of the day, those are just tactics by which we achieve the goal. But if you're not even like, if that goal isn't even important to you, then you're not going to do the work to get there.
Yeah. I'm always trying to get in the rooms with somebody doing better than me. I don't understand people that don't do that. It blows my mind, honestly. Like, how do
Yeah.
you get better
Yeah.
if you're hanging around people that are doing the same or worse than you are?
Well, again, it's like especially true if you came from a career where like healthcare, right? Where that's just not really a relevant thing to think about. Like you're not like, oh, the nurses around me are making $5 an hour more, or the doctor is making this salary. Like you
Mhm.
just don't really think about that stuff as much if you're not in a sales and marketing profession. And so when you get into like an entrepreneurial type of industry, like, real estate, you have to kind of change your mindset around that, because it's such a huge part of being successful, right? It's not literally just the things you do every day. It's like why you do what you do and the motivation that has you do those things. Because at the end of the day, like even in the platform strategy, I think it's fairly complex. A lot of agents won't be able to just copy what we're doing. But if they really wanted to, if someone was just like dead set and I am not going to sign up for platform, I'm not going to pay the fee, I'm just going to study it and copy what I see all the other agents doing, like you could technically do that, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and just study what all you see these actual platform agents doing, but don't ever actually join the platform marketing program. Like, I guess you could do that and you probably still would be pretty successful, but you would be missing out on so much if you're just looking from the outside in, like not getting to mastermind with us in person, not being in the Facebook group, not having relationships with all the agents in here where you can, I mean, like, because I'm sure there's probably a dozen or probably a couple dozen people that you've gotten to know where it's like, hey, I could call them at any time of the day and they'll take my phone call. Like they're
Yes,
actually like
for sure.
friends, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and that matters in entrepreneurship. That matters.
Yeah. I just, you probably saw my post, but I was coming in on the 20th to the mastermind and I was like, no, I feel like I'm going to miss out on something if I'm only there for 3 days. So I changed it to the 18th. It cost me like, I don't know, $1,200 more, but I don't want to miss being around those people. I love those people. So,
Yeah, it's like if there's like one extra meaningful conversation that you have with someone that kind of just shifts your perspective a little bit on some aspect of life, or it might not even be related to real estate. It might be like, I don't know, a parenting conversation you have with someone, right?
hmm
Like it's absolutely worth it. And I think that entrepreneurs are actually pretty good at realizing that. Then a lot of other professions don't necessarily get that. They just don't have that mindset. Like I was actually like the reason I'm in Florida right now, because I spend summers up in Minnesota now, is I flew back to Florida um, for a mastermind I'm in with a bunch of other like marketing entrepreneurs and marketing agency owners. And the event ended last week on a Thursday. It's like most people are like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm gonna fly out on Thursday evening. I'll find a flight that's at 7 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something. And I've always had the mentality of like, I don't want an event to end at let's say the event ends at 5, and then just I'm immediately hightailing it to the airport to catch a 7:30 p.m. flight. Because I want time to kind of digest and
hmm
process everything. And sometimes that might even mean just sitting in my hotel room that evening, taking notes, almost journaling, and just thinking about what I talked about and learned, and then I'll go back the next morning, right? So I can kind of just be with the ideas and like be with it for a little bit. Well, I ended up having like a 2-hour conversation in the hotel lobby that night with one of the other members in this mastermind, and like really got to know uh each other. Like we had known each other's names before, but we'd never really like talked a ton. And I find out like he's actually running a bigger marketing agency than Platform is. Like they're actually larger than we are. And I can learn a ton from him. Like I never knew that because I had never actually talked to the guy. And now I'm like, cool, man. Like, we had like a 2-hour conversation. We've since spoken on the phone. Like I basically made a new friend that I never would have made had I just been like, oh, the event's over, I better fly home immediately. So that is such a huge part of going to, any conference, any mastermind, coaching group, whatever that you're in, is like, don't just arrive 9 to 5 and fly in and fly out. Like the whole point that you're there is to have deep, lingering conversations with people, get to know people. And frankly, all the speakers and the event itself is kind of just the excuse that we have to get people to show up and hang out, right? Because if we said, hey guys, we're going to go to Boise and just hang out for 2 days and there's no agenda, just hang out, like no one would do that, right? No one would fly to Boise or fly to Naples, or you wouldn't fly anywhere if it's like, hey, we're just going to literally hang out for 2 days and there's no agenda whatsoever. Like you probably wouldn't do that. So having some speakers and some sort of agenda is like the exoskeleton, the structure of the event that helps you rationalize going, right? But the
hmm
real reason that you're going is honestly all the conversations you have outside of the actual keynote speakers and the conference uh, itself. And again, it's hard to put into words like what exactly impact that'll have on your business. but we all know it does, right? Like there's no way that you would have grown from doing 5 million to this year potentially doing 20 million in sales if you
Yeah.
had never attended a platform mastermind.
Yeah. I
Like
take away.
your business probably would have grown a little bit. I'm sure it would because you joined platform, right? But I don't think you would have grown from 5 million to 20 million if you had just been like, oh yeah, I'll do platform, but I'm never going to attend any of the masterminds or get to know anybody.
Hmm. And so last year when I came, your speech, it really changed how I structured everything this year for my business. I really focused in on community and small businesses and creating that community. So we have like monthly meetings now, and these people look forward to it. They call me asking, "When's the next one? Have you booked it yet?" Um, just doing things like that. I probably wouldn't have thought about it as much if I wasn't there and heard that speech. Honestly, um, so
Yeah,
you take away things that can completely change your business.
and you kind of got like reintroduced or started going to church more, right? Even after last year, was that
Yes.
yeah, that was you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that on the podcast? Is that okay?
Sure. Sure.
And
Yeah.
if yeah, I would say if not, we can cut this out of the podcast, but I'd love you to share if you're willing to.
Yeah. So we had always been, we went every now and then, but I made it a thing this year. Like, we are going to be in the doors every single time it's open. And it's completely changed our family's life. I was baptized as a kid, but um, my husband and both of my kids have been baptized. We serve in our church now. Um, it, God, of course, has changed our lives completely. But yeah, just being in that community has been amazing. And I don't think that I would have done that as much either. I mean, I would, because I know God is, He's over everything I do. Every success I've had is because of Him. But just giving back and being there, um, gosh, it's made such a difference in our lives for sure.
Again, it's just another example of community. So for those who haven't heard my talk from the mastermind last year, what she's referencing is I gave kind of a keynote at the mastermind last year. Really, the purpose of the keynote was exploring the importance of doing things in real life with other people. And in the final portion of that keynote, which by the way, it's on YouTube, it's on the podcast. So if you want to go look it up, I think the title of that episode was like the ultimate local marketing plan or the ultimate local marketing strategy or something like that. It was published, I think, in December of 2025 is when that episode went live. So yeah, that it's on our YouTube channel. It's on the podcast. But the whole talk was about just the like human importance of getting together with other people in real life. And I used church actually as an example. And I know that makes like some people uncomfortable to talk about going to church, but there's so many studies, like empirical peer-reviewed studies that show how much it improves your life, your family's life, your kids' life. When people go to church, in person, they make that a regular part of their life. And like, obviously it's a marketing conference, right? The purpose of the speech wasn't, hey, everyone should, ask Jesus into their hearts and start going to church or something, right? Like the actual punchline of me sharing all these stats was that, and it turns out, according to researchers, that it doesn't even matter whether you're like Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Mormon, Hindu, whatever religion you are, right? All of the benefits of going to church, like having a tighter family, a closer family, your kids are more likely to go to college, your kids are more likely to make more money in life, they're less likely to ever be arrested for a crime, less likely to have teenage pregnancies, you're more likely to eat dinner together as a family at least 2 times a week, you're actually more likely to live longer, like more than a decade longer in some instances, just by going to church regularly compared to people who don't. Again, these are all like peer-reviewed empirical studies, and if anyone wants, I'd be happy to send you the data on it. It turns out that all these amazing life benefits of going to church completely disappear if your idea of going to church is just like watching the live YouTube stream from your couch on a Sunday morning. Like, it turns out all of the benefits for some reason are about going in person and meeting people in real life in person on a Sunday morning. It even affects your immune system. You're actually more likely to live longer if you go to church and smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day than someone who lives a socially isolated life but doesn't smoke and is healthy otherwise. Like the person who regularly goes to church and sees their friends and family every week actually will statistically live longer, even smoking regularly, than someone who doesn't, but otherwise lives healthy. So like it even affects the immune system in some very real, tangible way that researchers don't really quite understand. But getting together with people in real life is like this secret weapon formula. It's like this magic trick that'll just help you live a better life. And church just happens to be a wonderful way of doing that. So if you're listening to this episode, I'm hoping you're, inspired by hearing Katelyn's story of growing her business from 5 to 20 million. Because that's awesome. But I really, really hope that you're inspired to go hang out with people more in real life. And if you're a Christian or a church person, like that would be a great place to start. If not, find some other way to hang out with other people in real life. Because like watching church on YouTube is not the same thing, right? Like if you're just sitting at home watching the sermons, that is not the same thing. You're not getting the other benefits any more than someone who joins platform and maybe listens to the podcasts but never actually attends the masterminds in person, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
huge difference.
And I think people they crave community, whether they want to say it or not. I am probably one of the biggest introverts ever. Like going to the welcome party at the platform marketing thing, don't like that part. Having to
Yeah.
walk through the shakers, don't like that part. But people crave connection, and whether they say it or not. And it completely changes your business and your life when you start incorporating that into it, like intentionally making those things meetings and groups and stuff for people to come to.
We're actually doing a fire walk this year where when you walk in on the opening night, we're having everyone walk across like live fire embers.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. That's like, I've heard that like Tony Robbins does that at his events, where hey, you do the fire walk where everyone walks across hot coals. I'm like, note to self, never be near that ever. That's, yeah. I mean, some events that people do, conferences, masterminds, whatever, it's kind of just like, oh, that sounds kind of weird, right? But
Yeah.
I love just hanging out with people. Like a huge part, again, the platform mastermind experience is like, yeah, we have speakers and breakout sessions and lunch together and we cater meals and so in that sense, it's a conference like any other conferences, right? But it's all the conversations that happen around the event that I think make it way more valuable than the average conference you'll ever go to, because what platform does differently than any other realtor conference you might attend is everyone there has their marketing strategy in common, not their brokerage in common, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to the EXP, the annual EXP con, or you go to a Keller Williams family reunion, or all the brokerages have their big the One Real conference, whatever. It's like they're all cool. I bet they have awesome speakers. I bet they are awesome events. But what makes platform different is like the one agent per market. So you're going to be the only agent there from your market area. So you're not worried about anyone stealing your ideas or anything. And everyone just kind of becomes friends because of that.
Yes.
And it just has a very unique vibe. And if you're listening to this and you've never been to a platform mastermind, like you've just got to come and experience it for yourself, and you'll see exactly what I mean. And if you have been coming to platform masterminds like Katelyn has, you already know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
I
And
do
it's
not
just good
think
people, like good people. We're not wearing suits and ties and trying to act like someone we're not. We're just good people sitting around the fire and exchanging stories or whatever. That's what I love the most about it. We're not trying to impress each other. We're just sharing.
and that again, that matters. Like it sounds like okay, that's just kind of fluff. It's like no, seriously, like doing stuff like that matters in your success. I was going to say, would your business have grown? Probably, even if you had never attended a platform mastermind. Like it probably still would have grown a little bit. But I do not think it is a coincidence at all that you're sitting here on the Platform Marketing Podcast being interviewed because you're on pace to have tripled and maybe even quadrupled your business since joining the Platform Marketing Program. I do not think it's a coincidence that you've hit that level of business growth and that you've attended the mastermind for 3 years in a row. Like you've really like leaned into the PlatFam community, and it shows in the results uh, of your business. So Katelyn, as we wrap this up, I'll give you the last word here. If there's any last kind of parting piece of advice that you want to share with people, whether they're already in the PlatFam or if they're a real estate agent listening to this and they're not yet in the PlatFam, is there any final lesson or takeaway that you want to share with people?
I would say if you're not in platform and your market's open, do not wait. Like, I will never give mine up ever. You'll have to pry it out of my cold hands, dead hands, but do it. And if you do get into it, do the work, because it's not going to work unless you do it. I mean, that's with anything. It will not work unless you do the work, and you have to be patient as well. I don't think mine happened within 6 months. It probably took 12 to 15 months to really see a lot of momentum, but it will happen if you do it.
Awesome. Katelyn, thank you for taking your time to be on the show today. And I'll grab this again. This has been the weirdest podcast episode I've ever done because my upper body is incredibly hot and sweaty and uncomfortable right now because we lost air conditioning here at the podcast studio. My lower body is actually numb because I have this like whatever, I don't know how this is it's a 7-pound bag of ice that's just been sitting on my lap this entire podcast episode. So my legs are just asleep and I won't be able to get up when I stop recording this. It feels really weird, but this was a really good episode, Katelyn. I hope someone got something out of this, and maybe there might even be a couple people who check out the PlatFam Mastermind for the first time this year and they weren't otherwise planning on going, but they listened to this podcast episode. Maybe a couple people will try going to church again who haven't been in a church in 10 years. So again, thank you for your time, and guys, we'll see you on the next episode, hopefully with air conditioning next time, of the PlatFam Marketing Show.
Thank you.